I aim to motivate and inspire viewers to see the clothes they wear as an expression of their personality and their beliefs. This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look. Hello, welcome to episode 34 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I'm your host. This morning I recorded the beep car sound, lots of car sounds in the background. Sorry, I can't do anything about that, especially this time of day. It's the second half of the afternoon on Friday the 18th of December. And this morning I recorded the Layercake section of this podcast, and I always present the podcast doing this bit first and then the Layercake section for the second half. But I actually filmed them the other way around. And the reason for that is that the space that I use to film the layer cake section is really close to the room where Andrea makes layer cakes. And the buzzing of the machines ends up being too loud when I try to record at the same time. So I record layer cake early in the morning before she arrives. And then in the afternoon I can sit here, which is in the front of the studio, hence the car sounds, to record the knitting section or any other blather that I have to share with you. Today, the reason that I mention that this is that way around is that in between the layer cake section and recording this, I had a haircut. So there is nothing more than a couple of hours between the two sections of the podcast, and they were filmed the other way around. So my hair looks as if it's multiplied and grown between now and the next section. That's purely because that was before the haircut and this is after. I've been in the rain since then as well, so it all looking a little bit different from what it looked like this morning. So that's just a bit of background. Today in the layer cake section I am going to talk about the Layercake Skirt. It's a bit of a lost child, and some of you reminded me of that, which is why I'm giving it the central front seat in today's episode, combining it with different tops and different looks to show you how the skirt can be worn to great effect with other parts of the Layercake collection. Before then, a little bit of a shortish knitting update and a little bit of blather, a bit of reflection on the year, and we'll dive straight in with a bit of knitting. So since last time, when I told you I had 2 Christmas knitting projects that I wanted to finish, I've made reasonable progress. The first pair of socks that I was knitting is finished. This is the pair that on the first sock I added a cable, a double cable down the leg. Halfway through the leg I decided to do this, and really the background for that decision was that it's such a neutral color, and I wanted to add something to the socks that really makes them look hand knitted. So they both have that double cable. The cable is not on the side of the sock, but diagonally, or not diagonally, what's the word? It's like to the left of the center, but not all the way down the side of the left sock, and then to the right of the center on the right sock. So they're size 10 UK for the boyfriend of my daughter, and I'm really pleased with them. Most importantly, she likes them and she really believes that he will like them too. So yay, one win under the belt. The other pair of socks, I'm actually, about halfway through, almost halfway through knitting sock number 2. I've just started rounding the heel, and they are different in the sense that they don't have a heel flap and gusset like his socks do. So these are the hers socks for my daughter. They're a sparkly yarn, and I will list exactly West Yorkshire Spinners. I'll list exactly what they were called. It's one of their Christmas yarns. She's really into her blues, so that's why I chose this yarn. But she also likes a diagonal heel rather than heel flapping gusset. And this is the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which I really like. It makes for a very neat heel turn. But one of the extra tips in the instructions for the Fish Lips Kiss heel is to, at the start of the diagonal, when you start knitting the heel, to increase a couple of stitches, which you decrease again right at the end. That gives you just a little bit more generosity for that diagonal heel, and that in turn gives you slightly more space around the instep. And she's got a fairly high instep, but that's why you can see it looks quite roomy in terms of a heel flap. It really, you can see that it's a little bit, heel turn, you can see that's a little bit more substantial, and that's the reason behind it. It's because of those extra couple of stitches that you increase and decrease again. The details of that are in the Fish Lips Kiss heel instructions. Other than that, it's a vanilla sock with, I do the temporary cast on, and then again, I've forgotten the name of this, of how I start this, but it makes for the kind of edging where the stitches look like they've just go around the corner, so you don't have any tightness around it. It's very nice and stretchy. It's a beautiful edging. So I'm really pleased with the progress. This is the first one. Second one, just about to round the heel, which means that after tonight and maybe a little bit of knitting tomorrow, I'll be done, and which is still well in time for Christmas. Yay! Only 2 Christmas projects. And then I'll be back to the jumper I was knitting. Before I show you the jumper again, I'm having a quick swig of my tea, which is slowly going cold. Oh. When you realize all of a sudden that you were more thirsty than you thought. So the Carlina jumper, I've shown it to you before. Nothing's happened since you last saw it. I had it behind me on the mannequin, if you remember. I've just brought it in to quickly flash it in front of you again. I'm so excited with how incredibly soft this jumper is. There it is on the needle, so it's a little bit scrunched up. It's still on the double needles that I put it on to show it on the mannequin. But there it is, nice and roomy, on purpose because I like roomy jumpers, and because I'll be able to keep trying it on as I knit, I will decide on the ultimate length that I'm going to knit it later on. It's very likely actually that I'll go for a similar length to the one that I chose for the Astrid jumper, which I adore and I'm wearing a lot. So that's the Carlina jumper. I'll be back on to knitting that at some point this weekend. So that's it for my knitting at the moment. And I thought I'll just share a little bit more blather with you about just general kind of reflection on the year, on my year, on the year of the rest of my family. If you're not really interested in that, just jump ahead to the Layercake section. I will list down here where that starts. But for those of you who enjoy my rattling on, here we go. As you know, all the wool shows that I normally exhibit at were cancelled, with exception of Unravel that we did in February. And it resulted in feeling a bit shell-shocked initially with COVID hitting, like everybody, of course. But then realizing that without the shows, I didn't have a viable business. There was such a large percentage of turnover that came in from the shows that I would have to do something to keep reaching out to you and stay connected. and let everybody know I was here. Of course, I was also really keen, especially on the layer cake side of things, to interest more people in the what I always call the tiniest label in the world. Because, of course, wearing layer cake is not in any way constrained to people who knit or who are involved in craft in any other way. Anybody can enjoy wearing a layer cake. So I had already stepped up my presence on Instagram, and I was making podcasts fairly irregularly, and I was sending newsletters fairly irregularly. So I made sure to get more regular with all of those and be able to stay in touch that way. And I again would like to thank you for your response to that, which has been so lovely. I've said it before, it was the wind beneath my wings, and still is, of course, during this year. And I discovered in the process what both an energy boost as well as an energy drain doing the shows is. When you do a show regularly, it really is 2 months altogether, a month before the show itself, and then a month after the show to get through them in terms of stock control, stock management, creating interesting things for people at the shows to look at, etc., etc. And we did, in the last year or two, 6 or 7 shows a year. So that means that we would be, or I would be, involved either in the run up to a show or the run down of a show after a show. And not having had this year has made a massive difference, because it is just me, with Andrea producing Layer Cake for me. Other than that, and helping with shows, she's not involved in the business. It really is a one-woman band. If I don't wind the mini hanks for the linen kits, then nobody does, to give you one example. So because I got so much regular feedback from you on the podcasts, on the newsletters, by emails, thank you notes for orders that I had sent out, I felt still connected, and I didn't feel as big a gap as I was expecting to not be doing the shows. And it's partially because of this kind of stuff, doing the podcast and being able to rabbit on about things and then get a response to them. It's fantastic. So thank you for that again. Now, in the meantime, I was able to keep working here at my little studio, because I am the only one here and Andrea is in her own room, so we're separated in that respect. And my studio is in the same village as my house, so I was able to keep going back and forth, and the post office is 150 yards down the road from me, so I was able to keep posting. I was able to keep sorting out parcels with DPD Local, so I could keep running that way. And meanwhile, I had a husband and children, of course, to manage as well in the course of the year. In my case, our daughter was finishing a master's degree in Prague. Her degree was supposed to finish this summer. She is now done. She finished in September instead. She was supposed to finish like May, June time. But when COVID hit, I immediately realized that this was going to be very serious. It was going to last a significant amount of time. And I remember calling her and say, pack up your stuff and come home. She said, you mean pack a little bag and come home? I was like, nope. Vacate your apartment and come home. This is not going to blow over. She contacted her landlord, who was extremely helpful and extremely understanding, didn't make life difficult for her at all. She helped him find somebody new for her apartment before she left. So that was all done amicably and in the course of within a week. She brought all her stuff, a couple of big suitcases, brought everything home, jumped on a plane and arrived home literally days before the borders of the Czech Republic closed, so that went all really well. Meanwhile, we have two other kids, two 18-year-old boys who were due to sit their A-levels this past summer. Of course, the A-levels never happened. They were home studying from home. That went okay, but they really missed the regularity of the daily school sessions. Little did we realize at that point that by throwing them in the deep end and with the ongoing support of the school, they were being motivated and kept going to study at home and study by themselves. It ended up really being quite a good test run for them in the run-up to going to university, which is where they are now. So they got through their non-A levels with flying colours. They had worked quite hard during the year, so their ultimate results came back really positively. And we went through a summer all together at home, daughter finishing at home. She had to go back to Prague one more time in September to sit a final state exam, which has to be taken in Prague. Luckily, that ended up taking place in between lockdowns, so she was able to go there, come back all safely, no infections anywhere, so that was great. And she passed her exam with flying colours. Meanwhile, she was in Prague taking her final exams. The boys were trying to get settled in their university places. They were both going to go into halls of residence, one in London, the other one in Bristol. And their experience could not have been further apart. London is Royal Holloway, where one of them is studying computer science. And my goodness, did Royal Holloway have their act together right from the beginning, with a mobile testing centre outside, with really good and friendly and efficient security staff to manage that big glut of 18-year-olds moving into the halls of residence who are all away from home for the first time, rabbits in the headlights. You can really feel that insecurity when you go around a big group like that. Bristol was completely the other way around. Also halls of residence. No guidance whatsoever. They were given a mask. They were told that they did not have access to any general areas. So the students got to know each other sitting outside on a field. That in itself is not really a problem, but because there was no supervision and no guidance, that very quickly turned into all-night parties in rooms. Security was 20 minutes away. If anybody actually worried about what was going on all the close contact that was happening and did call security, it would take 20 minutes before security arrived. By the time they were on the scene, people had been warned and everybody was pretending that nothing was going on. Security would do a quick walk around and disappear again, and all mayhem would break loose. So we have a son who would like to abide by the rules. He's absolutely a gregarious 18-year-old, but he takes things seriously. So he was very uncomfortable there, felt very unsafe, very unhappy. So we said, well, at this rate, you're going to end up catching the virus. It's impossible to protect yourself in that kind of environment. So we pulled him back out of the halls of residence after a couple of weeks, and he's been living with us at home and getting on with his studies. Both of them absolutely adore their studies, which is extremely lucky. They both really enjoy it, so they're both super motivated. They really put in the time and effort, which is great. But having said all that, out of all of us and out of all the people I've seen around me, COVID infections and the result of COVID suffering aside, their lives are so heavily impacted by the virus. Because they were new students, the boys were new students, they don't really know student life. But they had an idea of what it was going to be like, and it is, of course, completely different and really hard. Same goes for our daughter, who's back at home. No real hope for her to apply for a job at the moment. And again, luckily, of course, I can always use help with my tiny little endeavors. But where she's at an age where you're really motivated to kind of stand on your own 2 feet, set up your own life and get motoring, find a place to live, all of that is completely off the charts. And it feels like their lives have been put on hold for a year or even more. And at that age, I think it is a very tough call. Now, I fully realize what privileged little family we are. To finish that part of the story, my husband always works from home, has a home office, or is with clients. He does auditing work and he manages a team of guys. So his work could just continue. And instead of him traveling, he's just been working from home. And we have a house that has enough rooms for people to keep away from each other. It's not like it's a huge house, but we've got enough little rooms. The kids have their own bedrooms, for example. Peter's got a tiny little office, so we can get away from each other, and we are not in a situation that everybody has to be quiet because dad's on the phone kind of thing. So we are very, very privileged, and I'm very aware of that because I am thinking often about the thousands of kids of different age groups and their parents who are having to cope through this in very, very different circumstances, in much more cramped living environments, potentially under threat of losing jobs, etc. So I think more than anything else, that is one of the things that weighs me down. And as a result, we've really stepped up our contribution to a whole little wad of different charities that we give to what we can to under the strain of having 2 kids in university. My goodness, the financial strain of that is an interesting one to manage. But we try to give whatever we can to charity and to charities that we like and trust and know will help the plight of other people who are struck negatively by this year more bearable. So, coming full circle, it's been, for me personally, a year of revelations. I was asked to sum up in one word what my year constituted, and for me personally, it's been revelations. The forced situation of having to kind of slow down and take stock and reset priorities has been cathartic in a way and really useful. I remember saying to my husband right at the beginning of the pandemic, I want to, both personally as well as for my business, to come through this stronger than I went in. And I'm still working on that, but I feel that I'm making real strides forward. I had a fantastic conversation with Andrea yesterday evening about the initiatives that she's developing and the kind of stuff that she is doing with the tweed jackets, her big love in life that she's turning into her own little business, and we'll show you more of those in the future. I promise we'll do some kind of joint podcast to launch that when she's ready to show more. So I hope you look forward to that as much as I do. If I keep going, I think I'll run the risk of repeating myself again and again when it comes to connecting with you, enjoying that this year. Let's see what 2021 brings. But before then, a little bit more layer cake, and then I'll sign off until early in the new year. Enjoy layer cake. This has been asked about by a number of you to give a little bit of attention to the Layercake skirt. I don't know why it's been in the doghouse for so long. There really isn't a good reason for it, because it is such a lovely garment. I'm showing it to you here with a little mini tabard in steel, and the skirt is in charcoal, and I'll talk you through some of the details. The skirt is built up out of 3 panels from the top. It's got a yoke area, this first bit. Then it's got the middle panel, and then at the bottom it's got a very wide double sewn third panel. It's more than a hem really. So from here down, the last 6 inches is completely double fabric. That gives it weight and it gives it a lovely swing when you walk. The middle panel we've sometimes in the past made out of a different fabric, a thin wool, but at the moment I think there's only one of those left, and they're all linen. They're made out of the same pre-washed and pre-shrunk linen as everything else, in a number of the same colors. But the number of colors that we do the skirt in is smaller, like most of our trousers, more like base items, base layers. It's got the big pockets that you are so familiar with, and as an added feature, and it's got a elastic waist like the trousers do, and as an added feature it's got this pleat. It's a pleat that is tied with little ties and loops and bows, and that can be taken out. So it doubles up the fabric. It literally folds it into itself, creating a walking pleat all the way down, and it just creates an interesting silhouette. But when you take it out, you end up undoing the ties. They've just been tied on. These are sewn on. This tie you can take out altogether if you would want it to. Then you've just got these 2 loops hanging here, and then the ties are sewn on the inside as well. That gives you an extra about 4 inches around the waist, and it makes that pleat disappear. And in some cases, depending on what kind of outfit you're wearing, you may not want that pleat. You may prefer a smoother kind of edge all the way around. I tend to keep the pleat in because I really like it, but I do occasionally take it out depending on what I'm wearing, and that's exactly what it's intended to do. So you just tie the ties on the inside of the skirt into a bow, and that creates this little bump. It's like nipping piece of the elastic forward. That then gets flattened by this second set of ties on the outside. So now it's not sticking out anymore. It's not a bump anymore on my tummy. It just goes flat. And then that pleat is being kept in place, loosely in place, with this third tie that just gets put in a bow like this. So that's it. Now the pleat is back. Just smooth in the back apart from the little pleats that come from the waist. And we make it in 4 different variants, just like we do with the baggies. This is the large long. Then we make a large regular length, just like we do with the baggies. And then we have a small long and a small regular as well. So depending on what size of baggies you wear, you can carry that across to the skirt and order the same skirt, and it will fit you great. Of course, just like with the baggies, you do have the option, if you're on the taller side, to then still order the shorter length. In fact, I'll show you on me what the difference is. This is the long length on me, which really is an ankle length, and now I'll show you the shorter length with the rest of the outfit the same, just to show you the length difference. And here it is. This is the regular length skirt, about 4 or 5 inches difference. You can see that the pockets are a little bit higher as well, because it's proportionally shorter, not just a length lobbed off at the bottom, because this is intended to be aimed at people who are not as tall as I am. So when we do the different lengths, it's not just a matter of the same with the play suit and the dress, for example. We don't just lob off some inches at the bottom. The whole garment is proportionally shorter because it is made for a different height of frame altogether. And that's why you may find that if you're on the taller side and you order a regular length garment, that you may not like the proportions as much as you would do for the long garment, because those proportions are aimed at a different body. That's not meant to say that you can't do it, that you can't wear it. Like you can see, it's just a shorter skirt and it doesn't look crazy on me. It's just that I wanted to point out to you that all the proportions in it are different. So this is the new color that we've slowly started rolling out. We've just started doing dresses in the Dark Moth, and this is a skirt in the Dark Moth. We now do the skirts in Dark Moth as well. And it, like I said before, it's a lovely neutral color, but it's got this amethyst kind of shimmer in it because it's got a black warp and this muted mauvey colored weave. Weft, I mean. So it's a really interesting combination. I'll go back to the charcoal skirt to show you the rest of the outfits, because that's the intention. The idea is that it's a long skirt to be worn with other layer cakes. So that's how I want to show the silhouettes to you, the way they are meant. And that also makes sense for people who would wear the regular skirt and wear that full length. They get a better impression of how the layer cakes are intended to look, regardless of how you then choose to play with them, of course. So I'll go back to the charcoal, and I'll throw a smock on as well to show you what the smock and skirt combination look like. Here it is. Nice pop of color on the neutral base of the skirt. This is the violet linen, cross weave linen, and that's been out of stock for a while. It's literally en route now. I'm expecting this coming Monday the 21st or Tuesday the 22nd, a big pallet of fabric, which is my last order from the EU before we're Brexiting in a little bit over a week. I am gutted, but because of your support throughout this year, I was able to invest extra money in fabric. So we are fabricked up the hilt, which should stand us in good stead as we are rolling the Brexit implications out in the first couple of months of next year. We'll be able to keep well stocked with existing colours, but also some new colours coming up for spring. So the violet, any of the violet garments that you can see out of stock at the moment, as of next week, we'll be able to produce violet again. So those of you who are actually waiting for an order in violet, I think there's a pair of high-lows that we're doing in violet, and a tabard as well for one of our American customers. American or Canadian? Apologies. Anyway, we're making violet again this coming week, or just after Christmas, most likely. So in early January, we'll have a full amount of violet garments available again. So back to the skirt. Here's a violet smock. And now let me show you the skirt with a tabard. We might as well quickly go through the full array of different garments that you can combine the skirt with, so you can have a good impression of the silhouettes you create when you combine them with the layer cakes that you already have. Tabard next. This is the dark teal. Again, lovely in combination, of course, with the charcoal. So this is what a tabard looks like with the skirt. And then of course you can add the little mini tab back in. So quickly do it. All right, here it is. Tabard, a mini tabard. You get the lovely double V, which I adore, at the front and back. And it breaks up that monotone column that you create with these muted colors. Even though all of this is muted, because you've got the different layers in the different shades, it breaks it up nicely. Of course, a different way of breaking it up would be a nice long shawl or a scarf or a necklace. So you can dress that up in different ways, of course. But here's the mini tabard. Let's keep going. Actually, I'll take both of these off and I'll put on a tail smock with the skirt without anything else, without any other layer cakes in between, just so you can see how those lengths play with each other. Ta-da! So, tail smock over the top of the skirt. Now you can see that tail smock finishes just about where the skirt starts, because it finishes at waist height. If you are uncomfortable with that idea, then of course you can wear a mini tab in between that just covers this little area. Or, for example, the top that I'm wearing now, that's just a long sleeve t-shirt. I could wear that over the top of the skirt instead, like this. That could be the layer in between. This kind of look is really effective with a white shirt. If you have a nice long white shirt, the ones that have the arched bottoms are really cool for that. But if it's straight, then that works fine as well. I just like playing with those angles. But then you can wear your white shirt underneath the tail smock and wear it over the top of your skirt. So you get the skirt, then you see the front of the white shirt where this top is now, and then have the tail smock over the top. It's a fantastic combination, and you can then of course switch out the skirt for a pair of trousers. A pair of jeans, for example, is great. So I've seen some fabulous examples. I can remember a couple of years ago, one of my customers who came onto the stand, she was wearing long riding boot type boots, like all the way up to her knees, with tight jeans tucked in, then a white shirt, and she was wearing a little tweed jacket. She made a beeline for the tail smock and grabbed a red tail smock, put it over the top of the white shirt, and that together with the rest of the outfit, it was just stunning. And she bought it then and there. Absolutely loved the look. It's really effective, so keep that in mind. And that goes for things like the mini tabard as well. The mini tabard looks great with a long white shirt underneath as well, and have the white shirt peeping out. I'll try and remember that for a future episode to play with that. We're working behind the scenes or introducting the ideal white shirt within the layer cake range. We really want to get it right though, and that's why it's all taking longer than anticipated. That together with the fact that we've been busy, which is good, especially in the current climate. So again, can't thank you enough for that. Enough gushing. Right. Back to, what was I saying? Right, I'm going to show you more. How about a step top? Let's grab a step top with the rest of this outfit. Well, with the rest of this outfit, minus the tail smock. No, I won't. I'll keep the tail smock on and just put the step top over the top. I'm kind of curious what that looks like myself. Hey, I like this. Hadn't actually tried that before. Look, you can just see the side and the back. You just see a little bit of tail smock sticking out, but of course the front disappears completely underneath the step top. Yes! What a surprise! Okay, well, I'm going to show it to you as well, the step top and the skirt, without the tail smock in between, because I just wanted to show the step top as an alternative top to wear with a skirt. I love this though. It's nice and warm without being hot as well. Because of course with this outfit I could even lose the long sleeve top underneath and just have these two layers. Imagine this to be red, for example, or violet, going back to that other color. Okay, let me lose the tail smock to see what that's like. Yeah, that's it. Easy access to the pockets because of the length of the step top. Good, isn't it? And then of course you can dress this up any way you like with either complementary accessories or contrasting ones. Have I got anything here? Oh, here's a good one. My Fairly XL. Oh, sorry, plant. Nearly wound you around my neck as well. This plant was grown from nothing by my mum. Probably 25 years ago. And at some point, when it was about yay high, she stuck it in the back of the car and brought it to England to give to me. It's been with me ever since. I'm pretty bad with plants. As you can see, it never looks that great, but it's still with me. It's not giving up. Probably have to water it again. That only happens very infrequently. Here it is with a lovely scarf. Just reminding you that if you find it too warm to have stuff like this around your neck because you get too warm, then make it out of linen like this is. It doesn't induce hot flushes if that's what you're suffering from like I do, the way that wool does. And in general, a couple of layers of linen, it's very easy to take them off when you get too warm, but you don't get that hot in the first place. So I can highly recommend that. What else do I want to... Oh yes, dresses, of course. You may not think of that immediately. Same as wearing the dress with the trousers, which is why I so often show it, because I think it is such an effective combination. Let me grab a dress. Here's the regular length dress over the long skirt. And of course you get a considerable amount of length difference between them. But if I swap the long skirt back for the shorter one, then you can see the difference in length between the shorter dress and the shorter skirt, just to show you how well those two work together as well. Let me go grab that Dark Moth skirt again instead of the charcoal one. Here it is. The shorter skirt, the regular length skirt with the regular length dress. Just in case you find it confusing, the kind of booties I'm wearing, because they're heeled and they've got a bit of a platform, let me put on some really flat shoes, because that's how you normally used to seeing me, and it gives you a comparison as to what this looks like with more normal shoes. There we are. That's more standard fare, isn't it? My trusted little Porcelli ballet flats, worn with the regular length skirt and the regular length dress. I will also show you the regular length skirt with the longer dress, and then the longer dress with the longer skirt. Here we go. This is it. Regular length skirt, long length dress, and it illustrates that if you already have a regular length skirt and you're wondering what the long length dress would look on you, here you've got an idea. The combination of the regular length skirt and the long length dress shows you that those are just about the same length. If I were a shorter person, then the length between my shoulders and my waist would maybe be an inch less or so. And this combination, the bottom of the dress as a result, would drop that little bit further down over the skirt. So you can see little bits of skirt peeping out at the moment. Those would disappear. So if you are 5'2", 5'4", 5'6", then the long length dress will be the same length on you as the regular length skirt. You get a full length garment, almost down to your ankles. Now, go back to the long length skirt so you can see the difference between this longer dress and the longer skirt. See how big the difference is? Especially with the flat shoes, you get a good impression. I know that both of these garments are the same color. I really like the column-like effect that you get. A couple of episodes ago I did lots of combinations of samey top and bottom. Here's just that same effect with the dress and the skirt. So there's a good, well, pretty much the dress pretty much finishes at the start of that double panel of the skirt. So you have that whole double panel, that whole 5 or 6 inches below the dress peeping out. Full length outfit, really nice and festive as well, by the way. So if you have this kind of combination and you have never thought of wearing it together, you can. We have some long skirts in stock. We're running out of time to get them to you before Christmas, although I will on Monday the 21st ship, this coming Monday, will do another round of shipping of orders that come in over the weekend. So if you notice something that we have in stock that you're really keen on, you're free to order it within the UK and then still trust that it'll be with you before Christmas, because I will ship on Monday the 21st. After that, I'm going to take a couple of days off, have Christmas, and ship again on the 28th. So the web shop stays open. I'll keep an eye on emails as well. So if you have questions, then feel free to fire them off to me and I will answer in a timely fashion. And on Monday the 28th, I will do another round of shipping. I am anticipating that I will take the rest of that week off again. And then the following Monday, I don't know by heart which Monday that is, the first Monday of January, we'll go back to a normal shipping schedule. But the web shop stays open throughout. So shipments on Monday the 21st, Monday the 28th, and the first Monday of January onwards again. I wish you a wonderful festive period. I hope you can rest and recuperate. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. I hope you stay happy, and I'll see you again soon.